the Jewish community in the UK?
We have formally members about 280,000. That's all. In the whole of Britain. The whole of Britain.
Yes.
But we suspect there's at least 20% more who do not register as Jews and who are not members of organizations that we can count them in.
I see. And they are all in one community, or are there different communities? Like the example in Mexico, we have 6 communities.
No, but probably here we have 600. There isn't the same. People here have, they live in different places. There is, Reform and Masorti and egalitarian and Orthodox and double Orthodox and Haredi and all sorts of things. So one cannot describe it as a homogeneous community or 6 communities. There's many, but broadly speaking, the mainstream Jews are people who go to something called United Synagogue, which is about 70 synagogues across Britain, who are the rabbi is Orthodox, but the congregation are more or less, but some more, some less. But that's called United Synagogue, and that's the main middle road. Except now, of course, the Haredi community, which is the ultra-Orthodox, are increasing in numbers and in percentage much, much faster than the rest, much faster. So eventually, we are looking at this is the element of the community that is growing and is becoming more influential as the years pass by.
I see. And how did the pandemic affect the Jewish community, the coronavirus?
Very much affected us. It very much. It actually affected the British Jewish community more than the others and more than the British public in general. The way it affected us is it started early with the Jewish community, and maybe from people from Israel or from America who, this is a community which is always together. We go to the same, a huge percentage of the Jewish community live in a very small area, in Barnet, Golders Green, Hendon, and Finchley. It's a vast majority live in that one. And we had Purim, and in Purim, it was being spread without anyone knowing. So, so people were spreading it to each other in parties, in weddings, and in the care homes. By the time it became an illness and a plague, it was too late. And we lost more than 500 people. Very, very quickly as well. And when you compared it with the whole of the state of Israel, which lost, they were losing 250, 300, and we were already 500 on a much tinier number of population. We paid a big heavy price.
And what actions did you take to control the?
Well, I mean, first of all, we had to convince, and that was very difficult, to convince the ultra-Orthodox, the Haredi community, and the people who go day in, every single day of their life for 60, 70, 80 years to the synagogue and believe that this is the way to communicate with God 3 times a day. It's not easy to come and convince them, okay, you know what, you don't need to do it anymore. After 3,000 years, please sit at home. No need for Kaddish for your parents. No need to go even to see your loved ones being buried. Sit at home. It took time. It took time. Eventually, the leaders understood that we are facing such a big difficulty and immediately start saying this is not only advisable, but it is compulsory, and if you defy it, you're actually defying the will of the community, and you are endangering your fellow Jew. But it took a bit of time to drum this message.
And what can you tell us about anti-Semitism in the UK? And did the coronavirus crisis exacerbate this anti-Semitism?
Well, as you know, May, I personally was born in Iraq, and I had escaped. I left everything with my family, our house, our car, our certificates, and run away because of anti-Semitism into the Great Britain, into the place of freedom, and we thought when we rebuilt our lives again. It is beyond me to tell you that almost 48 years later, we are facing anti-Semitism in Europe, and in particular in Britain. It's crazy. And we all thought this is an illness that will never come back after, certainly not that fast after the Holocaust and what happened in Europe and all the lessons that were learned. But we faced that in Europe now, and it started about 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago in our case, when the opposition party, which here we call him the Labour Party, elected someone who is hard left by the name of Jeremy Corbyn. And Jeremy Corbyn changed the face of British politics, and part of his being he's a pro-Palestinian in such a way that it's been like this for many decades. He was a very simple, non-influential, nobody even hear what he says, member of parliament. But the one thing Jeremy Corbyn does all these years is standing for the Palestinian cause at any price and developing this hate towards Israel and towards Zionism. So if you ask Jeremy Corbyn, he will swear to you, probably in his mind is correct, that he actually loves Jews. He has no problem with any Jews. In fact, some of his best friends are Jews, but it's the Zionists. And in a way, this is the problem we had in Europe and we're having here is the definition not of the Jew, but who is a Zionist and what is a Zionist. Because what they did, his crowd, he brought with him a new faces, people who were hard left, communists, anti-capitalism, anti-America, and of course, anti-Israel. They all came out from nowhere and joined the party. And for 2 years or more, we really faced a very, very hard time because suddenly anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, anti-Israel became the normal thing and became something that is so acceptable by the opposition. It's no longer a fringe or it's no longer a small people. It is now the mainstream. So that's what we faced. Jeremy Corbyn was defeated very badly about a year ago, exactly a year ago, exactly. And the party was completely decimated. One of the reasons was that the Jewish people stood and went in the street and into the newspapers and said, enough is enough. And so when it came to voting, people had in mind that particular issue. So he was defeated. And recently, a few months ago, there is a new leader that was now elected, and his name is Sir Keir Starmer. And Sir Keir, first thing he said, day one, I want to meet the Jewish people. Day one. So on the first day, he met all the Jewish leaders in the United Kingdom and said, I promise you, I am going to change everything. And I'm not going to allow anyone to stay. And we're going to do it quickly, fast, and I'm going to do it faster than you even want it and accept it. I'll do it. And so far, he kept his word. So now, last month even, a minister just tweeted a story that somebody else had written, and he just fired her. Like that. And she was a minister, and she was close to him, fired her, no questions asked. And he's done that now a few times. So now everybody knows. Of course, he's being attacked by the anti-Semites very badly, saying he's a stooge and he's a puppet and all that sort of thing. But he has no problem with that. He knows he has the backing of the majority of the British people.
But how did you, as leaders of the Jewish community, defend the community? How did this affect your daily lives? And what actions did you take?
It actually took over the agenda. It took over completely our agenda. It was morning, afternoon, evening, on the news, on the television. It was one incident after the other, after the other, after the other. And because, as I told you, he had spent maybe 30, 40 years doing this, every now and then, like every time he keeps quiet, suddenly somebody brings a clip from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And again, we start the whole thing again. I mean, there was a clip with him going to Tunisia and putting a wreath of flowers on some of the terrorists, Palestinian terrorists. Now, at the time when he did it, nobody even thought about it. But now that he's going to be threatening to become the prime minister, suddenly all these things started coming out. And it never stopped. It never stopped. So he actually, I was elected for this vice president only 2 years ago. And it was Jeremy Corbyn, anti-Semitism, and now the corona. It's a very exciting, challenging, and time-consuming period to be a Jewish leader now.
And did the corona exacerbate the anti-Semitism?
It will. It is. First of all, there's these conspiracy theories everywhere, and secondly,
the conspiracy theory that the Jews brought the.
Yes, all sorts of about the sort of Jewish influence and how they brought it in or something. But these are like the fringe. What is the problem? The bigger problem is always in times of economical difficulties and throughout history, they will always look for the scapegoat. So they are out of job here, they're out of living, all our lives now upside down, and so they need something to occupy them. So it's the Jew. And yes, it has started, as I don't know whether you have been hearing or not the last few days, that about the
rap artist. The rap artist Wiley, yes.
Yeah. So the rapper Wiley, this is a big story. This is a very big story. That it took the chief rabbi, our chief rabbi, to stand up and say, I want the entire community to stop using Twitter and Facebook for 48 hours. It was like reminded me of Mordechai and Esther, when they said, I want the whole Jewish community to fast for 3 days. This is for now, in the modern day, fasting is stopping Twitter and Facebook. And this is, you can't use this too many times. You can't use it easily. But he did. He used it and he said, this is the time I want you to stop this for 48 hours. A cry to say, enough is enough. And because the way Wiley is, of course, he has a very big following. And he's black, and he's using the Black Lives Matters as a reason to attack and to say Jews always looks down at us blacks, or Jews have done this. He even unearthed some out of context what a rabbi said in Israel a couple of years ago, that black people originates from monkeys. Some absurd, stupid saying, and he just found this out. And when he tells this, when already people are, excited and people are all over, and we stood by every oppressed person. We stood by the Uyghur Muslim Chinese. We stood by the LGBT. We stood by trans. We stood by the blacks. We stood by every person because of what we feel is our mission. And we feel, and when he then turns it against us and say, Jews always think black are beneath them. Why? Jews always think black do not matter. Why? Jews always think that blacks are monkeys. We are talking here a combination of somebody who is famous, a combination of somebody who's got big following, a combination of Corona, and already people are agitated, and inciting the black people against Jews. So yes, it's very, this is what we have to live with. Suddenly, when everything seemed to be quiet with the Labour Party, and we thought maybe we could just start working on different things, he comes in now and really, this has been we're doing nothing in the last few days to just counter that sort of incitement against us.
And what was the result of this action?
Well, they kicked him out of Twitter now, closed his account permanently. They closed his account from Instagram and from Facebook. But because of who he is and how famous he is, it's not the end of the matter as yet. He is not accepting like other people have done. Okay, I'm sorry if I upset you. I'm sorry if I said it. I was not right. I was wrong. I was this. No, he's not saying that. He keeps on challenging every day. Even today, I'm seeing the papers here in front of me. Even today, it's a challenge.
Today?
Well, it's like we see it as very much a threat. What he's saying today and more. He's saying, my sister had policemen to her house. Who called the policeman? I bet you, the cowards, the Jews, because if you had guts, if you were brave, you come and talk to me. No, you are cowards. You go to the police. And he's playing with fire because, again, images of police and George Floyd and Jews working with the police, and he's just keep on adding fire and more and more. And his managers are Jews, and they actually disowned him and says, well, we can't work with you anymore. But even that, he used it against us. You think, you Jews, you think you can shut me out? I will always say what I want. Is you and he mentioned the Ku Klux Klan. You are the two people that no one can talk against. It's a serious challenge to our welfare here in the UK now.
So do you think it was useful to boycott Twitter?
Well, this is supposedly we're still in the boycott time now, and it's the gesture of the chief rabbi announcing it was major. It had huge. We are on television, on radio, on every hour now because of that call, and because everyone wants to understand why. Wow, is it so bad? Is it so? So yes, it has brought it to people's mind and things, but we will, until we calm him down and until we find a way, that issue has not finished yet.
Because you are now like in a kind of lab to see how you can deal with that kind of attack, in that kind of hostility.
Yes.
That kind of enemy.
Yes, we have not had that sort of attack at all. Even in the worst days of the Labour, somebody would say something against Israel, and somebody will say something about Netanyahu, and we would call him and we would say, this is an anti-Semitic caricature, and he'll say, no, I don't think so. I love Jews. But we have not had somebody looking at you in the eye and say, no, you are dangerous, you are cowards, you are this, and somebody with that influence. and repeating it and wartime. And the more you try and calm him down, the more he says, what? You, other actors were saying to him, look, this is not the way. And he say, what? If you are brave, you're a Jew, if you're brave, come and talk to me. And he's almost saying it, I'll sort you out type of thing. He's not saying it in a nice way. So we'll see it, we'll have to.
How many followers does he have in Britain? And
he's very well known.
Are you in danger? Are you in danger because of this?
Well, I mean,
like, can you walk in the street with the Star of David, or can you?
Not because no. I mean, obviously in Europe, as you have heard over the last few years, there were times that people would feel threatened to have a kippah, to have the Magen David. I cannot say directly, immediately now, that the last 3 days already I am afraid to go out. But it can develop into something much bigger if the black people in this country, for example, would become more agitated and say, oh, so you shut him from Twitter, you shut him from Facebook, but we are him, for example, and we'll go in. This could happen because he is agitating them, and in a country, in a democratic country like Britain, you're not going to shut him up, easily. He's not, you shut him on Twitter, on Instagram, he'll go somewhere else, or he'll have television people who will speak with him, or this one. So we'll have to deal with it intelligently and to our best ability.
Yes, what a moment to be a community leader for you. What a moment for you to be a community leader.
Yeah, I have no complaint because I chose to be a community leader, and I chose to be not at the beginning of my career to go and to become a leader. I've done it, I've seen it. I chose as a service, quite honestly. I said to myself, for the first time, I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to be at the service, because this sort of job, to be a leader, it is totally you cannot win at all. Whatever you say, whatever you do, I knew that. If you say I am pro-annexation, half of the community will say you are a thug, you are a right-wing, you are apartheid. If you say I'm against, they will say, how dare you? Who are you? You are not even in the army. You can't say anything. Whatever a leader, a Jewish leader, say, there is somebody who will strongly believe that you are totally wrong and should apologize. I knew that. And even then I said, I want to be of service. I want to sit 3 years, it's a 3-year term, and I'm going to be a soldier. And you know what? Something strange, but when you volunteer to become a soldier, you actually want to be in a battle. You don't want to have as easy time and open nurseries and say Baruch Hashem and spend 3 years time-wise, but you have not achieved anything, you have not fought, you have not put a legacy, and you have not corrected anything. So in a way, a soldier is when he volunteers, he's up to the fight.